Hello and welcome back to another Diciple3D live stream learning session. You've got your host, Johnny Brento, the master of disaster, Graybro, aka Diciple3D, aka Brent Bowers. And I see that I have not muted my monitoring computers. Let me do that. I have with me, as I often do, my left-hand guy from the great state of Texas. Tell them who you are.
Reggie Hicks, the Reginator.
Word. If you didn't know, now you know. Okay, so what are we going to be doing today? We are going to be looking at creating a reusable scene. In other words, setting up a scene, the cameras, the lights, and sort of saving that as a master level go-to scene for, in this case, creating promos. Something that I, as a PA slash Renderosity merchant, I have to do that all the time, and lots of times I find myself doing repetitive type setups. So we're going to work up a scene that will have cameras pre-built, and then we'll basically use a render script to let her rip, potato chip. You know, in other words, just hit that render script, walk off, and when you come back in 5 hours or so, your minimum number of mandatory promos for Interosity are created, and it's done all the work for you. Essentially, you just have to pull it into Photoshop and put your your words, your phontography on it and whatnot. So in this case, I'm going to be working on a product that I often market, and it actually is a HDRI. I have a whole series of HDRIs that I sell through renderosity.com, and often I'll build out little scenes to kind of promote them, and I really don't have to go to that trouble. I can kind of do it once, and let's just take a little look at one. This is one that it's actually called Halloween Road, sort of a fall scene, which I sort of love the fall, and for making HDRs, I find that to be like just a tremendously excellent time. And I see something right off the bat. It is loading the wrong HDRI, so I don't even know how this happened, Reggie. I don't even know how this happened. I actually just overwrote that. So, gosh, that's so strange. That is so strange. It's loading a different one that I probably built this from. So, all right, first things first, Reggie, let's just go ahead and fix this. And somehow I have gotten my content. Oh, you know what happened here? You know what happened here, Reggie? Do you know
What
what
happened?
happened? I have
What
opened
happened?
I have opened the wrong version of DAZ Studio, and I don't even know how I did that. That's very strange, very very strange indeed. We're gonna try to. That's why I had to log in all of a sudden. It's really weird, really really weird. Sorry about that, guys. I do apologize, but stuff happens, man. Stuff happens. That's the version that I'm looking to work with. That's just probably got something to do with why I've broken my um, call it, my smart content. My MySQL got uninstalled improperly or something, and I haven't been able to use Connect since. But I carried on, and I don't use Connect as a general rule. Um, or I wonder if potentially this got updated against my wishes. Um, because I'm noticing this look is different. Let's see which version we are on. About DAZ Studio. Okay, 4.11. Is that the version that I was working from? 4.11. I guess it is. Okay, so carrying on. Um, so we'll go to this one right here. This is the one that's already released, and I know it's correct. So we'll just kind of go from that one. So we do this right here, and I apply that one, and go right here, and okay, so that works fine. Now we're going to go to the new one because I really did want to work on just the look of that one. I'm kind of hype on it right now. So we go down here. And there's our preset, and we apply it, and I'm getting completely the wrong. So there's definitely something wrong with that, but we can fix it. Um, the reason I know I've overwritten it because it actually shows the proper one in the thumbnail. So somehow I didn't save it properly, but that's all right. We're gonna fix that right now. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it is broke, do fix it. So encountering a wee bit of lag. Okay, I'm all the time developing in the same folder, so it probably got a little confused. So yep, it's pointing to the old one. We want to be pointing to this one. Runtime, textures, uh, Halloween Road. Okay, so I'm gonna just fix this real quick. Browse the folder. Since I do not want to have to re-render those thumbnails out just now, I'm gonna go and just add something, just one, and this way I can just undo that in a second and it'll be all good. So, cool. That'll break this. Now I'll resave this, making sure that I properly save it as a render setting. Render setting, Halloween Road, full. Okay. Now, yes, override it. And I only want the, yeah, don't need that, just this. Accept. Okay. So now we'll just pop back over here, apply a different one just so I can be double sure that that it's still working, or working the way it's expected to work. Yeah, I actually haven't really. I probably should do this in the future with things that I've already released. So, yeah, okay, that's working fine. Now just pop back in here, rename. All right, get rid of that one. Okay, rename. Boom. So you're following along with what I'm doing here, right, Reggie? You don't have I haven't confused you, right?
Oh, I'm totally confused, but I see what you're doing, so it's not a problem. I haven't made that mistake yet, but now I know where to go. Right here. I can see it.
Okay, so now talking about promos, I like to use for renderosity sort of this dimension. I'll render it in 4,000 pixels wide so that I can size it down and have it. I can make a fast render. I render faster at a large size it down, it gets rid of the little fireflies and whatnot, and I'm able to make promos fairly quick. So I'm going to go with this 17 by 22, you know, at this size. I've already kind of pointed it at the promo folder that I'm rendering in, and I'll just call this promo scene or master promo scene. Not that it doesn't really matter because I'm not rendering individually, so this isn't that critical. But I want each of those, not 9,000, because these will render very quickly because there's not much in the scene. So I'm going to go with 2,000 seconds at, this is kind of important, render quality 0.99. Okay, so that's more or less. So now I'm going to save this as master promo scene in my promos folder. At a top level, I'm going to call this scene templates. Man, when I'm working faster than my computer, that's super annoying. It's actually Les and I are both about to create new machines, so that'll be a boon to this whole process. Scene templates. Okay, cool. Gonna go inside here. Well, eventually I'm going to. There we go. Call this Rendo HDR Promos. This kind of came to me on one of my recent walks that I could do this and save a whole bunch of trouble. Okay, so now we're going to go to default camera and we're going to call this promo page. That's the name of the camera. Promo, if I can do it that way. Here we go. Promo page. All right, promo page it is. Okay, so just for the sake of the demonstration, I want to be looking up and down the road, and I don't want to turn the camera. I want it to just be like true north. So I'm just going to go down here into Dome and get a rotation. Call this -25. Let's see what happens here. Oh, crud. You can't go negative unless you change the limits. Let's try that. Okay, that's about right. 28. All right, cool.
Well, that's nice.
So this camera, just to point out a few of the obvious things about it, no DOF, headlamp needs to be off, OFF, because we really want to see what the actual HDRI is doing. Okay, so that's going to be our first promo. Now, you know, I would actually go in here and tweak this and get it just so, you know, but I'm just basically trying not to do an awful lot to change the direction. Um, Now I'm going to create a sphere, which is a primitive, and there's a reason I'm doing this, because I'm trying to show off HDRs. So the best way to do that is to have a sphere in your scene. We want a reasonable amount of segments and sides. It's a little, it's going to slow the render down a little bit, but not all that much. But we want it to appear smooth. That's kind of the critical part of this. So obviously that's way too big. Now even coming in with that default material, you can start to see the effect of the HDR, which is super cool to me. But we want probably about 25% of that. And oh no, that was way too small. Let's go with 50% of that. There we go. Now we're going to move this out. Now see what that, because we're not straight, because we don't have our scene perfectly lined up as far as the rotation of it. This right here is going to be a little bit off, but most scenes won't be like a tight little road. They'll be an entire big environment, so this concept will still work. That's actually pretty cool with that default material on there. Um, So that was my neighbor just asking me about if we're getting internet on our road, and God, that'll be the day. Okay, so sphere, and I want with that material selected, I'm going to go over here and put like a real shiny. Dang, I really like that though. I'm tempted to leave that because that actually does a good job of showing you what DHDR does. Let me go to. It also shows you like the fact that the shadow is working properly.
Yeah, I can see that.
Let's do.
And the sphere is just array texture shaded.
It looks like that, and I don't know why that came in by default, because that must be something new. Because normally you'd have to give it an iray texture, but that one clearly came in with an. That's probably actually an update in the software that did that. So, you know what? I don't think I even need to do anything on that. Like that is a good example right there. Um, so ultimately, what I want to do is reproduce this whole thing 4 times, but I'll show you how we're going to do this. Okay, so we're going to duplicate this camera. Duplicate this camera. Boom. And we're going to call this Lightbox. There's a reason I'm naming them this way, because it just saves Lightbox 01. So basically you have to have the promo image and 3 lightboxes. Um, and I'm in the Lightbox camera, and I'm just going to rotate that to the right about 90 degrees. Um, and let's see what that said. Yep, negative. Let's do -90. That way we'll keep it honest. Okay, -90 degrees. And then we'll go back. We'll duplicate that. You'll see where I'm going here in a second, Reg. Okay, so Then we'll duplicate this, and instead of it being -90, it's going to be -180, which is going to point it perfectly back in the other direction from where we started, Lightbox 2. Now, as it so happens, that doesn't work out great for our, let's try something here. It's a little specific for, there we go, okay. So, I guess I could kind of cheat this one, because the whole point is just to have a good promo, and starting with the scene, I could go through and position every camera. That's weird. Getting a weird effect here. Why is it not moving? Let's go top view. Okay. Sphere, duplicate. Duplicate node. Um, Boy, I am starting to think I have screwed up here. This is not at all looking like what I expected. Um, this has to do with the in particular. Maybe I probably should have set this up before I ever even did a. So why? That's perspective. Is that also Lightbox 1? No. There's not Lightbox 1. How about Lightbox 2? Lightbox 2 is whack. Trial and error. There we go. So as long as you got some sort of object in it to show that it's casting shadows and receiving the light, that's super cool, right? Like for that one, just to be different, maybe I would go and throw a mirrored shader on that. Um, Sometimes when you think of things and you're not at your desk, stuff works a little better in your mind's eye than it actually does in the actual thing.
That's very true.
Let's see here. I don't love how that's on such a steep angle. So with Lightbox selected, I use this little targeting tool, and this will give me a chance to straighten that up, right? So go here, go universal, rotate. Yes, get you looking more like a regular camera. There we go. And we go back to Lightbox 2. There we go. That's a little more like what I expected. Okay. Yeah, so that's really cool because you can see what's up, that it's rendering all areas. So let's go back here, go back to top view. So yeah, this is different parts of the HDR. In other words, the road is not this way, like straight forwards. This is going to be our promo page camera. That's just like I would expect, right? Like if we just duplicate that camera and grab the duplicated version and turn it like this. then it's like pointing straight back. We're going to call this one Lightbox 3. I'm sure I'll come up with some refinements for this. So then if we go into Lightbox 3, it's kind of, yeah, down the road. The old man's down the road. You know I could sing like that, did you, Reggie?
Actually, yes. I've heard a lot of your music, man. It's really good too.
Duplicate node hierarchies. Um, Thanks, man. That's mighty nice of you to say. Oh man, down the road. So look through here, Lightbox 3. Um, let's see which way she's going. There she blows. Now, you know, one of the reasons that I have my renders by default with the ground turned off, here's an example right here. When you get further away and you want to make an image go kind of like foreshortening down the road or whatever, like in your image, you run into this situation where if you have that floor turned on, it really does break the illusion. So finite sphere with ground. So you'll see what I'm talking about here. Well, actually, it didn't work too bad on that one. Did not work too bad on that one. Looking at the minute difference there, it's actually not so bad. Looks pretty much the same. But if you look at some of the others, finite sphere with ground, you're going to notice a difference in how the tiling works. See right there? Okay, so like look at this one with the ground turned on, and now look at it with the ground turned off. I guess I need to do a little tutorial explaining to people how to customize that. To me, that looks better. But anywho, so Lightbox 2. Wow. I don't understand why that's visible in both, and that definitely is a fundamental problem. Um, which one is that? So that's sphere number 2, which I wonder. Nope, it's not for Lightbox 1. It's not for Lightbox 2. Not for Lightbox. It is for Lightbox 3. Okay. And we are definitely seeing some Lightbox 3. I think it's the depth of field on the camera. No, it's off. Ah, this is weird. Let's go 100 on that. I don't know what that's doing. That one's not looking good at all. I almost feel like I need to start over from scratch. Alright, let me do this again. Let's save that. Alright, let's do this. Texture shaded. Let's get rid of the default camera and go to perspective camera. Alright, so actually front view. I'm going to do just the opposite of what I just did. In other words, instead of having the cameras pointed out, I'm going to have them pointed in at a singular point, and then I can have just a single sphere, right? So let's go new camera, and we'll call this Lightbox 1. Actually, Lightbox 00. Copy active view, and then we'll go back view, create new camera, Lightbox 01. Then we'll go right view, create new camera, Lightbox 02, 02, and then we'll go left view, create new camera, Lightbox 03, 3. Now that right there represents the 4 images that I would need to actually make this work. Now I could potentially, actually let me just wait. So let's do create a sphere, create a new primitive. Same thing we did before. Let's size it down 40%. Alright, now let's go Lightbox 01. Let's turn on NVIDIA iRay. Preview. Okay, so that's like super obvious that there's no ground plane there. So let me just try turning that on. Sphere with ground. I guess I need to adjust this angle a little bit. Oh. Oh. Because I copied everything from these. These are orthographic cameras, so they can't dolly. I suck. I suck. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Let's try this again, Reggie. Let's try it again, man.
Alrighty, let's do it.
I'm just confusing the crap out of you right now, right? Okay. It's got nothing to do with the HDR. That's where I messed up before. Like, all right, so default let's look at the top. We're going to look at the default camera. Yeah. Now, that should be, that actually should be, okay, if that's the default camera, does the default camera come in at an angle? Because I don't feel like it should, but it might. Let's delete that. Create new camera. Apply default settings. Okay, apparently that is exactly what happens. It comes in at an angle, which has been the source of a lot of my consternation right here. So screw that. If this is working the way I think it is, it should actually kind of make a lot of sense here. Real quick. What? Ah! I'm losing it, Reg. I'm losing it. So that's the default freaking angle? I refuse to believe that. When I restore that camera, it comes back exactly the way I would expect it to be. So it's really strange that it has somehow been saved as a default. But anyway, I digress. It's now correct. So let's turn this on. Okay, I believe that's right. Bearing in mind that it has nothing to do with the actual HDRI. Um, so let's go top view. So we're going to duplicate the camera. Duplicate nodes. Grab camera 2. Turn it around exactly. I wish there was a snap grid. I bet there is. That's close enough for rock and roll right there, Reginator. Okay. Okay, cool. Duplicate nodes. Number 3. It's going to get like a... Duplicate camera. Negative. You starting to get the picture, Reggie?
Looks like you're building a cross.
Well, I'm building a field of cameras that are going to like pretty much hit the same spot, you know, so that I can just have one subject and it will highlight the
Yeah, kind of like north, south, east, and west.
yes.
Okay.
But when I create the sphere, create new, where you at? Primitive. Let's go with 1 meter. That'll be the right size then. Okay, so do this. That actually tells me that I didn't have those cameras in the right spot, but that's okay. Camera group, cam group. This is all going to work to our advantage in a second here, you'll see. I promise. Okay. Alright. Camera group. Oh, yeah. It's almost like I know what I'm talking about. Almost. Okay. Okay, my man, my guy, my dude is starting to look like what I had envisioned. Um, sphere with ground. So now we're going to overwrite that other stupid scene where I screwed everything up. Yes. Now we're going to rename these as promo page. That's always going to be the first one. It's going to be light box 01. Light box 02. Let's see here. Lightbox 03. Now, if I'm correct, that's exactly what we were going for right there. So now we are seeing, and I guess I could kind of go through here and see if it works, see how it works uh, with the ground turned off. You still get a shadow, which is good, but yeah, it's a little bit more natural, I think. But just sometimes it all comes down to like how high off the ground your camera is and your placement. Like so if we pop down here to camera 3, see it's like, oh, that actually really highlights our artifact. We need to work on that. In fact, let me fix that right now while we're sitting here. While we're sitting here, man, you know, because it's like it'd be a good thing not to have that screwy like that, because you know they might not like that when they purchase it, you know. You don't even know what I'm talking about, Reg. You're just like you're just oblivious to the murder that's going down.
I'm seeing it. And I'm absorbing as much as I can.
So I'm actually ordering. In fact, as soon as I get off this stream, I'm going to order my replacement. But that particular HDR cam, the first day I had it, fell over. Wind blew it over. Landed on the lens. Nobody told me that that stupid tripod monopod would not, you know, bear much wind. So I'm going to have to get me a weight on that, and I'm going to buy this camera again, and with a protective case so that you can't scratch the lens like that.
Oh, that's good to know.
Fortunately, I've been able to work around it to figure out like how I can use it still. For video, it doesn't really affect it that much because I always have the front cameras, the front facing lens turned up, you know. But for HDRIs, it's an extra piece of work I have to do to clone that little those little scratches out, which kind of come across like Elton John's farewell tour. Oh, another farewell tour. Yeah, Elton doesn't talk to the crowd, man. I've seen Elton. I like Elton, but he doesn't talk to the crowd. And I'm like, dude, if I wanted to just hear the concert, I just buy the record, watch you on TV or something. But like, I expect this. Hey, what's up, Charlotte? Like, at least that. He didn't even do that. Okay, here. Come on. Come on. She's working. Okay, so what am I doing? Oh, I'm doing this. Okay. Take a second to load it up here. Okay. For some reason, that old country song came into my mind. Don't ask her on a straight tequila night. I believe it's a John Anderson song. I don't know why. It just popped into my head. I think it's because my wife always has to come in here and tell me something that really I'd have been fine not knowing in the middle of this. I don't know if my memory's getting low or what here. And she's ready to fight. Well, I do not know what is the issue. Maybe I'll just get Photoshop has really been acting funky lately, like locking up on load. I may need to update it or something. Like, I don't know what's going on here. I pay so much for Photoshop. I pay 53 bucks a month for that suite, and I'm really getting upset with it um, not running super smooth.
Wow, that's a lot.
Well, I mean, it updates all the time, and I don't know if like that's part of the issue, but let's just do a little quick here Creative Cloud, make sure it doesn't. If it's needing an update, I might just run the update real quick. You're not in a hurry, are you?
Nope, not at all, my friend.
Let's run this update. That might be what the problem is. Hopefully, it won't take too long. So, you have any work you can share while we're waiting? Any renders you want to share with folks?
Well, not so much renders, but I've done
I'll
some
critique the
characters.
I'll critique the crap out of them, dude. I'll be like, man, you know what?
I will put some together because actually tomorrow's going to be my render day. Right now, it's just building characters from the Sixes One
You
3D
know,
Disciple library.
there's also a script on if you wanted to save each of your characters out in a simple scene. There's a script called RenderMan on